Good afternoon and good evening, everyone, depending on the place from where you are attending this webinar today. My name is Richa and I work as Education Manager at ACCA. Our session is designed to support you with the Advanced Financial Management paper, where our expert will take you through the latest examiner report, sharing his brief insights with some tips about the upcoming September 23 exams. And we will be trying to answer your questions live. I am very pleased to be joined by our expert tutor, Rashaad Hussain. Before I hand over to Rashaad, I would like to cover a few housekeeping items very quickly. At the bottom of your screen, there are a number of buttons you can use. There is a help icon on the left, which provides resources, information to help you resolve any technical issues you might experience. There are icons for the slides and media player. You will need to see both of these during the webinar, so make sure you have selected them. Attendee chat function is there so that you can engage with fellow webinar attendees, and that is the icon on right hand side. There is also a resource list. The icon looks like a file symbol. If you click on this, you will be able to access resources which are relevant to today's webinar, and that includes direct links as well. You can rearrange your screen to suit you and resize your windows if need be. And if at any point you are not able to hear us what we are saying, or you cannot see any visual, please refresh your browser. Registering for this webinar means you will be sent an email tomorrow with details of how you can listen to it again. So don't worry at all if you miss something or if you have any technical issues, you will be able to access the recording. Now I am going to hand over to Rashaad sir in a moment, and we'll be back with you towards the end of the session. If you would like to ask ACCA or Rashaad a question, then please click on Q&A button, which is the middle icon at the bottom of your screen. Please note, we cannot guarantee responding to everyone directly, either verbally or via web chat, but we hope that the questions we share will be helpful to everyone. Over to you, Rashaad sir.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. We've got students reporting from multiple time zones. Some of you are in the evening, some of you are in the morning. A very hello to all. As many of you know, myself, Rashaad Hussain, in the field of as an educator, as a mentor, as a consultant, now reporting as the CFO of Financial or FinScript Business Consultants. I've been teaching for the papers, FM, AFM, helped a lot of students succeed in life, get rank, and have also been part of ACCA's trainings, webinars, and also been able to deliver workshops in the thing called Train the Trainer. Now let's have a look into what we are to discuss here. What is our agenda? What are we going to be going through? We should be going through the how to access or how to get the examiner's report, what the AFM exam approach is supposed to be, how are we supposed to answer to the question, and definitely the highlight of what we are here for, analyzing the examiner's report. Practicing, how to practice a question, what to do and what not to do when you practice questions. What are the reasons why students fail? Why do they not clear? And obviously discussing about the exam tip, and finally the key ACCA resources. Well, before we move into the topic, let's go into a small poll and let's have a small idea. Let's get a small idea about how many of you have read the examiner's report. Have you read them? Have you not read them? Have you read all of them? So it would be great to participate in the poll and give us an insight about, yes, have you tried the examiner's report? Yes, can we have all of you to vote for it, poll for it? So what all? Yes, I've read all of them. Yes, I've read some of them. No, but I intend to read. You don't have any idea how it can help you out? Hmm? Let's just wait a little bit more. The candidates are responding. Okay. No, this is not a very difficult question, a very easy one. So let's have a look at how how the candidates have responded to this, and we can see that there are many students. We've got roughly 40% of the students who've at least read some of them, but we have a huge majority, 55% of students who actually intends to read but not read any technical articles so far. Now, what is the what is the approach towards what approach are you supposed to take in the exam? How do you access them? What approach are you supposed to take? Now, how do you access the examiner's report? Examiners, for those who've not accessed it, the examiner's report, once you log into the ACCA website where you have the study resources, you go into the ACCA AFM paper, you can see the option where when you navigate, you get this option at the bottom where you have the examiner's report. You can see the examiner's report over here. And which one are we looking into today? We are looking into the latest one. Yeah, you have the examiner's report over here. You have the examiner's report. We are moving into the latest one, which has come up, the examiner's report for the March June 2023. When you look into the examiner's report, one of the things that you need to understand is that first, how is the AFM paper? Is it more of a problem paper, or is it that is problem computation part, or is it more of an interpretation part? Is it more of what the students call it as theory? Is it more of theory? So can I have you to, yes, can I have you to, yeah, tell me, is AFM primarily, is it focused on calculations, or, yeah, is yes or no? What do you think? Is AFM more based on calculations? Yeah, yes or no? Yeah, let's have your response. On calculations or not. So let's have a look. Yeah, 70% of the students, they do realize that, yeah, it's not primarily based on calculations. It's more based on what is it? It's not just numbers. It's more about, the professional marks. It's more about application of your relevant knowledge. It's about exercising professional judgment. It's about putting your answers into structures. It's about attempting all the requirements. And what we see that we see a lot of students being very impatient. They spend a lot of time on the calculation part, and they rush through and don't give sufficient time when it comes to the narratives, when it comes to presenting, discussing, listing out. The students underperform. So, as far as exam approach is concerned, ensure that you apply your knowledge properly, you exercise professional judgment, you ensure that you structure your answers properly, and do ensure certain requirements. You might have more than one requirement for a section. Ensure that you attempt both the requirements or all the requirements. Do not rush to the do not rush in the narratives. Spend time, discuss it properly. So some of the most important things to be taken care as far as exam is: ensure that you apply your relevant knowledge, exercise professional judgment, structure your answers into appendix, give proper working notes, attempt all the requirements. Don't rush in through the narratives. Now, AFM students are, see, 10 marks, professional marks for the question number one, question number two, five professional mark, question number three, and again another five professional mark, total 20 professional marks. How do you manage this? How do you ensure to score more? We'll come back to that. Before that, the first thing that any student needs to take care is how to answer, what to take care while answering. So, what are the four? Yeah, what are the four professional requirements? What are the four professional requirements? Yeah, could you probably use the, yeah, let me know what are the four professional requirements? Good. Using the Q&A to update. Yeah, what are the four professional requirements? Communication, analysis and evaluation, skepticism, commercial acumen. How do you get marks for all these requirements? How do you get marks for all these requirements? How do you ensure that you don't lose mark for this? As far as communication is concerned, ensure the language that you use has got clarity. Be effective in communicating. Put your structure your answers in appendices. Give proper working notes. Give headings, subheadings. And if there is a report that is to go, you explain what is the report that is going to follow up. This is the way how you can score for communication. How could you score for analysis and evaluation? Look, pick the appropriate data, pick the right information. And if at all certain information is not there, mention that there is lack of data. That's where you fetch your professional mark. Mention that further analysis is problem was possible. Mention that you can probably go to maybe do what is it, sensitivity analysis. You can go for other uncertainty analysis. So these are other things that you can mention in order to score a little bit more. And whenever you conclude, don't give one-sided conclusion. Give a balanced appraisal. Ensure that you give a very justified conclusion. This is the way how you can score for your analysis and evaluation. What about skepticism? What could you do in skepticism? See, what is skepticism? See, it's a questioning mind. It's about what mind you have when when you are at a workplace. How you challenge the information. How you question the approach of the question. It's about, there are assumptions. You say, what is the problem with the assumptions? You try to use your professional judgment to draw a conclusion. Now, how do you score marks when it comes to commercial acumen? It's more about, when you work somewhere, you get to know what works and what does not work in the real life scenario. So it's about bringing in the real life scenario. It's about taking practical commercial considerations. It's about, the business, its external environment, its constraints, mentioning about it. It's about bringing in the, whatever, scenario in the question. What are the past actions that are done and how it can impact the future? What are going to be the future consequences? So these are some of the things, how you can gain your professional marks. So let's have once again a look into it. What, you should use this like a checklist in order to score maximum professional marks. So what is that checklist supposed to be? Yeah, here are the checklist, the professional skills overview, communication. What are you supposed to do? Clarity, be effective, ensure that you use proper structure, use appendix, put headings, subheadings, explain what the content of the report is going to be as far as evaluation and analysis is concerned. Use the correct data, appropriate information. Mention what is lacking, what is the lack of data. Tell the marker that further analysis of certain things are possible. Do not rush to one side conclusion. Give a very justified or very balanced conclusion. Skepticism is about challenging the information, questioning what is being mentioned, stating what is problem with the assumptions. It's about doing using your professional judgment to come to a conclusion. And commercial acumen is about in the real life, you'll be able to say, yes, this works, this doesn't work. Practical concept of the business, and what is around the business, what is the external environment, what are the constraints in the environment, what has happened in the past, how is it going to impact the future actions. Now these points, you can use them as a checklist to ensure gaining more and more professional marks. Okay, you are all prepared to get professional marks. The approach, your starting point itself, we've noticed that several students, the way how they start, the way how they start answering the question itself is wrong. Students would open a particular question, head straight into the exhibit. The question will come, yeah, exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, exhibit 4. No, that is not supposed to be the approach. How do you start? Not the exhibit. Start with the requirement. Read the requirement. See how many requirements are there. What are the requirements that I'm supposed to search in the exhibit? So once you read the requirement, then go into the exhibit. Read the exhibit one by one by one. And as you read the exhibit, now relate. Yeah, this is for the requirement A, this is for the requirement B, this is for the requirement C. Relate it. Okay, once you finish going through once you are going through and once you're about to finish the exhibits, what should go through your mind is which method am I supposed to use, which formula am I supposed to use, how should I structure my answer, what format should I use, is it any templates that I have to stick on to, and then start with the response, start solving and select the appropriate response, the word processing or the spreadsheet. And ultimately, this one is your key towards getting your professional mark, a checklist towards a professional mark. So how are you supposed to answer? There it. Your answer is supposed to be first the requirement, not the exhibit, and then you're supposed to go through the exhibit one by one, finish the exhibit. As you read the exhibit, yes, to requirement A, this is to requirement B, and as you read the exhibit, think what method you're supposed to follow, what formula you're supposed to go into, what should be the format, what should be the structure, should I look for any, what should I go for any templates for better presentation. And then once you're done with all this, response, pick the appropriate response option, the word processor or the spreadsheet, pick them up and then start solving. And as you solve, the key, the magic that I've given you towards fetching your professional marks. So any point of time, once you focus to fetch your professional marks, get back, and what are you supposed to do? Check. Yeah, use this as a checklist. Use this as a checklist. Ensure that everything over here. So once you finish your answer, once you're about to finish, think, have I done the headings? Have I given what? Have I explained what is the report going into? Have I ensured clarity? Have I put things in appendix? Am I using the correct data? Have I written about the further analysis? Have I mentioned whether something is missing in the question? Have I given one-sided or have I given a justified conclusion? Have I challenged anything in the question? Have I challenged the assumption of the question? Have I mentioned what works and what does not work? Have I mentioned about the practical consideration, the external environment? What are the future consequences? So once you are done, get to this, check whether you've done everything to fetch. Now, this March-June 2023 examiner's report. Let's look into the examiner's report. No, we've seen that more than 55% of the students have not gone to the examiner's report. When you go to the examiner's report, what are you supposed to learn from it? Let's have a look at the recent examiner's report and let's highlight some of the most frequently done mistakes by the students. Most frequently done mistakes. Now, the March-June 2023 question number 1, Joshua Company, some of the most regularly noticed mistakes was that back calculation, all taking up a discount factor, doing that, and students have done that very properly. But it was noticed that when it came to the calculating the beta equity from the beta set, giving the proportions properly, giving the value of equity properly, giving the value of debt properly, multiplying it with properly, to 1 minus t. It was several times noticed that students have done mistake while calculating the beta equity from the beta set. So whenever you calculate beta equity, take care. This is something important. This is something important that you need to take care. So what is it? Beta equity can be calculated from beta set. We've noticed that a lot of students have done mistake with regard to that. And another mistake that was observed for this requirement was that, and it's a very frequently used question, is whenever KD is given, students miss to make it post tax. Students miss to adjust tax towards it. So whenever KD is given and it is silent, please note that. Please note that you are supposed to, you are supposed to, what is it? The KD, you are supposed to make it 1 minus tax. You're supposed to make it post tax. So this was, some of the most frequently noticed mistakes. And whenever the questions came up with regard to this, students, they are very comfortable with NPV, they are comfortable with WAC, but when it comes to the topic of mergers, acquisition, we see students struggling, they very difficult answer effectively towards it. Students are supposed to take care about answering it step by step by step. And this is possible only by good practice. So what are some of the things noticed? It was noticed that the students struggle as far as questions related to mergers and acquisitions are concerned, and step-by-step practice is not done by the students. Students found it, a lot of students made a lot of mistake as far as value addition calculation was concerned. And one of the main reasons was because of lack of practice. And another thing that was noticed that whenever a requirement was supposed to be presented in percentage, relative, not absolute, most of the students have answered to it as absolute. So absolute is an amount, not as an amount. Compare it with the previous and express it as a percentage. So it was noticed that a lot of students lost mark. They've arrived, they've done everything, they've done really good, they've come to the last point, but they've reached the amount, they've not completed it, they've not presented it as per the requirement in a percentage. So the requirements that require you to answer as a percentage, ensure that you reach to the final point and you answer to all the requirements. Now this Joshua question, what was another thing that was noticed was that most of the students, in order to write the narrative, they cut paste out, no discussion at all. They just cut paste, mention that it is assumed and so on. So this is one that you need to take care. If this here AFM is not about just cutting and pasting. It's about discuss that scenario. You will not be rewarded marks, you'll not be given credit if you don't come to the discussions of it. Now in certain cases, for example, the NPV is found, for example, the APV is found, they just write, so some students don't even, some candidates don't even write what the NPV is positive, it can be accepted. They don't even put any form of report. They maybe forget the conclusion. These are places where you can very easily achieve marks. There are places where you can very easily achieve marks. So this has been numerous times highlighted by the marker where they forget a conclusion or they don't present their answer in any form of report. And these are places where you can very easily achieve marks. What are the most commonly made errors? Students go wrong when they calculate PBIT. They go wrong in picking the relevant cash flows. And the more frequently, whenever valuations come up, whenever anything that comes up, quick adjustment. It was frequently notice that perpetuity with a terminal value. Let's say from fourth year onwards, it grows forever. The perpetuity starts in fourth year and it grows forever. We've seen students very frequently making error in this calculation. So incorrectly calculated present value approach with a perpetuity with terminal value. So whenever a perpetuity comes up here, what you have to remember is that it goes how it goes 1 divided by r, and you are supposed to multiply it with the previous year discount factor. You're supposed to multiply it with the previous year discount factor. So please ensure when a perpetuity does not start in the first year, you navigate, you go, you adjust it for the previous year discount factor. Now, synergy, wherever synergy came up in this requirement, some students even adjusted tax to it. Synergy was already given after tax, it's a post tax thing. So we've noticed that in several places there has been a wrong treatment of synergy. It was supposed to be taken as after tax. There were several cases where tax was reduced from it. Now, finding the value of equity, especially when you do the free cash flow approach, and using the free cash flow for valuation, you use WACC as discount factor. When you use WACC as discount factor and you find the value that you get, the value that you get here is not the value of equity. It is the value of the business. There are several times that students stop here and they mark it as value of equity. From this value, what you get here when free cash flows are discounted with WACC, what value you get here is the value of the firm, value of the business. You need to reduce the value of debt from this in order to get value of equity. So this has been a very frequently done mistake, fail to adjust the value of debt in order to arrive at the value of equity. And again it was noticed that wherever the requirements are in relative, we see some absolute figures for changes in value rather than the requirement was in percentage. So wherever you are asked to mark the changes and the things, ensure that what is asked, read the requirement properly. Is it something absolute? Are they looking for absolute figure? Are they looking for a percentage? And it was several times noticed, as already mentioned, students will mention the assumptions, and they'll just mention the assumption, they'll just list the assumption and they don't go into any discussion. So this is another thing where you can, you don't fetch easy marks. Now, something that was quite disappointing was that the pipe requires there were a couple of candidates who did not even properly understand what was buyback. It was mentioned by a lot of students that buyback increased share of capital and it led to dilution of EPS, which was not the case. Buyback is where the company buys its own shares, it cancels the shares, the number of shares in the company reduces, the share capital reduces, the gearing increases, but the EPS is going to increase as the number of shares have reduced drastically. The EPS is going to there were several cases where students wrote the EPS will decrease, number of shares are decreasing, and whenever the number of shares decrease, what happened? The EPS is going to increase. So this was another thing. What is it? The students had wrongly mentioned that the buyback increase share capital and also leading to EPS. It's the other way around, where buyback is going to reduce the share capital and increase the EPS and increase the EPS. So please ensure you have proper technical knowledge when you come to answering questions like these. Now the second question, the Oxwich company was there. There was a thing described by the non-executive director. The non-executive director's view was presented. He presented his view about the acquisition strategy, the acquisition of of a company, where there were two requirements, and we've noticed that students have not answered to both the requirements. Students were very confident about stating what the non-executive director mentioned. Students were, very confident, but they were not ready to challenge. They were not ready to, maybe what the non-executive director's view is, whether it is right or wrong. The non-executive director suggested diversifying the company. We were supposed to add on whether this is, we were supposed to take this further and add on whether this is going to benefit the shareholders or not benefit the shareholders. When does buyback, when does diversification benefit the shareholders? Diversification only benefits under two circumstances. One, when diversification is going into an area where shareholders cannot directly invest. Number one, where diversification is going into an area where shareholders cannot directly access, or maybe that diversification should lead to a synergy. The diversification should lead to a synergy. So it was noticed that these further discussions were not done at all. The candidates just mentioned the points what the non-executive director said, and there were no discussion at all. So, yep, not both the requirements. Both the requirements were not. Yeah, some of the candidates they answered to both the requirements. The challenging the director's view was not challenged. The shareholders, whether they benefit or not from the diversification. It was not mentioned that the non-executive also suggested that would acquire one or more of its subsidiaries to reduce risk, about reducing the risk, about acquiring this supplier. Many candidates did not comment on it. And finally, there were things stated without any discussion. So please ensure to not just stating the points, but going into discussing it further. For this question, what was noticed is that students just stated, students come in. It is assumed that cost of capital is calculated correctly. You're not going to get marks. You have just listed things. You'll not be rewarded marks for just listing it. Whether this assumption is realistic or unrealistic. Yeah, if it is unrealistic, why it is unrealistic? You need to give examples why it is unrealistic. And if there is any point where you can discuss further, take it further. So just stating an assumption, just restating an assumption like copying and pasting it from the question is not going to help you fetch any professional marks. Now, see, many students, they just keep doing. They don't spend sufficient time as far as, practicing questions in exam scenario. Do you practice questions based on time limit accorded to the marks? Yeah, if it is do you set a time? Do you set 90 minutes for it? Do you do it? Do you try practicing it? Do you check whether you are able to complete it in 90 minutes or not? Yes, can we have your response? Good, so we can see that, yeah, there's a very huge majority who don't practice it. This is where you lack your exam technique. This is something, highlighted by the examiner. It has been highlighted by the examiner that most of the students who don't clear are the ones who have probably not completed. Now, how do you, what are the exam techniques that you need to take care? What are the things that you need to do as far as time management is concerned? First, as you read the requirements, as you go through the question, and then familiarize the scenario through the exhibit. As you familiarize through the exhibit, plan your time carefully. Plan your answer. Think how you should structure them in order to gain maximum marks. Look into what is your easy mark. Where are the areas that you can really quickly do and move on to the next area, moving quickly through the easy marks, and ensuring that don't give any unnecessary details. Repeating facts are not going to help. There are the, we've seen scenarios where if a student is confident about a topic, they become very happy, they start explaining, they start going into it. They start going into it as they go more and more and more and more. Please understand, the examiner can, the marker cannot give you more marks than the marks allotted for it. So how do we try to fetch the maximum marks now? So here the next requirement was quite challenging, and we have noticed that the students felt it. They were good at good at presenting, good at calculation, but whenever it came to the discussion scenarios, the discussion was unsatisfactory. There were many students who were not properly put it across. Hmm? What were the common errors that we have noticed? The common errors that we have seen is that the tax calculations. Whenever a tax calculations came up, students did not know if one particular year was loss and the subsequent was a profit, how it is supposed to be properly adjusted. So what we saw is that, let's say year one was a loss. Let's say it's a loss of 100. It's a loss of 100. So there were certain students who did not carry this forward to the second year. If the second year it was a profit of 300, it was a profit of 300. Calculate your tax. When you calculate your tax, you are supposed to reduce from this 300. From this 300, you should reduce 100 and then multiply it with the tax rate. Suppose if the tax rate is 30, you multiply it with the tax rate. And this tax shall apply only to the second year and it shall not be charged against the. So tax calculations on carry forward of loss was not properly answered by several students. It was wrong. There was a wrong approach there. Further, whenever the working capital adjustment comes up, incremental working capital, the first year we needed 100, second year we needed 50, third year we needed maybe 200. See the incremental working capital, first year 100, then we don't need 150 again. We only need the incremental 50. So the incremental approach was another place where students have made mistakes. And whenever royalty came up, royalty which is collected from the subsidiary and which it was never reflecting in the parent company. The tax consideration, what was given in the subsidiary and how it is supposed to be done in the parent is one place, is another place where many students haven't considered it properly. So ignore the royalty payment and they forgot to convert it. If in one subsidiary country it is in dollar, in the parent company it could have been in pound, they even forgot to convert it. So whenever you state any risk in the question, you state any risk, bring discussion, bring analysis, give it meaningful discussion, meaningful analysis. Give it meaningful discussion, give it meaningful analysis. Now, the exam technique. What are you supposed to do? As already mentioned, read the question thoroughly. As you plan your time, happen is what is going to be my working notes, structure it properly. So plan the time, plan your answers in order to gain maximum mark. Identify the areas which are easy, where you can very easily gain marks. Avoid going into detail, avoid going into repeating. You know something, even if you write everything about it, you are not going to get marks more than the allotted marks. So stop where is required. To are tempted to expand more and more and more. This is not going to help. And state in the scenario without any analysis or evaluation. See, certain candidates they work really hard. They're really good with the what is it technical content, but they don't use a practice platform. They don't use a CBE software. They don't use a blank workspace provided. And what happens? They are not able to complete on time and not practicing. Ultimately, you don't have the exam techniques. So it's not just about are you confident? When are you going to be confident? You'll be confident when you have control over all these. So there are three things that you need to focus. Have the content with you. Using the blank workspace that is provided through my ACCA. Doing mock exams. And when you do exams, what are you supposed to take care? When you do exams, do it not on an Excel. Do it on the word processor, the blank workspace that is provided on the CB software. On your My ACCA login, log into your My ACCA, use the blank workspace there. And when you try a mock, do it in exam conditions. Let everybody know that. Let your neighbors, let your relatives know that. Let your friends know that you are trying a mock. Ask them not to disturb you. Sit in an exam condition. Focus. Spend that 3 hours at one stretch. Do it timed. Post exam check whether you were able to do it in time or not do it in time. And once you're done
Sir,
with it,
can I come?
most of the students do.
Sir, can I come
Yeah.
in between a bit? Actually, there is a bit
Yes, yes,
lag
yes.
in the. So, can you just a suggestion? Will you like to switch off the camera and maybe that may help in the connection thing a bit?
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
because the
switch off the
students
camera.
are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, can I proceed maybe? Yes, yeah,
Yes,
taking
sir,
over.
please. Yes.
So, yeah, I can proceed. Yeah, moving ahead.
Yes, sure, sir. Please,
So,
please proceed. Yes.
yeah, yeah, proceed. Yeah. When we practice a question, what are the things? Do it on the blank workspace, do it timed, ensure that you do it in exam conditions, compare your answer at the end. It's a, see, students, they do a mock, they come back and say, sir, we've done a mock, we feel that we've done really quick, we were able to. It's not sufficient. Go mark it. Go mark it, identify the mistakes you have done, and not move on to the next one. Practice that thing again, practice again and again and again. Ensure that you've reached perfection. So, pick your mock. Yeah, we can you from my ACCA. We've got a very in last week we have got an AFM pre September 2023 mock updated. Go select it, assign it, and as you do it, what are the things that you're supposed to take care? Do it in exam conditions. No distractions. Keep very focused. Ensure that even if you practice, do any practice, do it on the blank workspace. Do it. That is a CBE software. Do it timed. Compare your answer to the solution at the end. Mark it, and once you mark it, do it again. Once again, practice. Get perfection. Now, what we've noticed is that what do you think? Why your friend, probably your friends and the others who've written AFM. What do you think? Why many students they fail AFM? What is the reason behind failing it? Could you probably participate in the poll and tell me why do you think students fail AFM? Difficult? Is it because of the time management? Is it because of selective preparation? Hmm? What do you think the reason is behind students not clearing AFM? Why do they fail? Yeah, let's have your let's have your view, your perspective. Why do you think the students are failing? Why do the students don't score good? Why do they fail marginally? Okay. See, all of these matters, but what is the most important thing? The most important you can to ensure ensure that you that you can do. See, use, write the things that are easy. See, we can see that most of the students have candidates, the participants have responded. It is because of poor time management. Now let's see, how can you achieve this? How can you ensure that you are able to complete on time? It's by following this step called as easy mark strategy. So easy mark strategy is where you read a thing one time. Okay, probably there might be certain questions where you don't understand. You read it again, you don't understand. You read it again, you don't understand. The more number of times you read, your tension, you get more stressed, you get more tense, and the brain stop processing properly. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to ensure that you read one question one time, okay, you don't understand, tension slightly increases, you get slightly stressed. You read it again, the stress again slightly increase because you have not understood the second time. Do not read it the third time. Move, go, pick easy things first, do easy requirements first. And when you do easy requirements first, go pick, okay, I feel it's easy, let me complete it. But please ensure that you don't spend over time on it. Spend what is sufficient for that mark. Okay, easy, I completed. So if you go for easy, if it is difficult, okay, I'll put this for later. Let me move on to the next. When you do easy, it is possible to complete all the easy things in the first 60 minutes for the question one, which is 50 marks. Only the easy things. Then move on to the section. See, when you do the easy things, what happens is that you get that good feeling. Your confidence slightly starts to boost up. Now you move on to B. Again, you quickly rush into through the easy requirements. You answer to the easy requirements, and the easy requirements you are able to do it in the next 30 minutes. And then you move on to section B, the third question. Here you spend another 30 marks, go through. Now, by the first 2 hours, you would have gone through all the easy things. You would have probably, you should definitely be able by this time to fetch around all you, since you have attempted everything, you should be probably be able to fetch around, let's say 40, 45 marks by this time, or maybe even more. Now you have done easy thing, you get that better feeling, you feel that positive, your confidence will get boosted up. On the balance 60 minutes, more is balance. This 60 minutes, go do all the difficult things. By now you would have calmed down, you would have started thinking properly, and this would, even the question that you would have read previously, where you would have become tensed. Now when you get back, you might be even thinking, hey, why did I feel this was difficult at that point of time? Why did I not understand? So there are several cases where when you get back, when you are more calm, you tend to understand the difficult things. And finally, never ever forget, last 15 minutes, allow the time to recheck your answer. Rechecking your answer, re-going through the answers is important. So first 60 minutes, you do question one, next 30 minutes, question two, next 30 minutes, question three. Now you have balance 60, you go difficult, do the difficult ones, and the final 15 minutes to recheck. This way, when you do, your stress level could come down, and this would ensure that you are able to get very easily score more. Easy marks are fetched. This helps in time management, because the difficult ones, you will not definitely be picking the difficult ones. You would have put that aside for the last 60 minutes, and by that time, by that time, your stress, your tension would have all come down. Now, if we list out 5 reasons why the students fail, if we list out 5 reasons why the students fail, we have seen that one of the major reasons is that they don't do the strategy. They spend time on difficult question, leading to poor time management, and they get stressed at the end. And whatever they knew and whatever was easy was not attempted by the end of the exam. Writing skill not practiced at all is another reason why students fail. Communication part, the narrative part is underperformed. When capital structure theory requirements are there, they write about dividend theory. They don't answer to what is asked. When valuation is asked, they stop with WACC calculation. They don't follow the missing templates or the formats. So, what are the 5 reasons why students fail? Not managing easy marks, spending time more on difficult question, leading to poor time management, not completing the question, not writing properly, not having good writing skill, communication not practiced properly, narratives not done up to mark, not even proper form of report in many cases, and not answering to what was asked. And there were cases where the templates, the formats that could help you present better, that could help you score better, were not considered. Now the ACCA, what are the tips that will help you score? Hmm? How can you score more marks? First thing is, when you use the blank workspace, when you write the mock, you get familiarized with the functionality. Getting familiarized with the functionality, how do you familiarize yourself? Use the past exam library, use the practice exam, use the blank workspace, go through the instructional videos. There are a lot of instructional videos. There are videos on the pre-September mock that is available. Go watch them. Cover all the topics. Don't think about any selective study. Don't do that cherry pick where you pick what you like, and you don't even look into or practice sufficient what you are not very comfortable with. Ensure that you don't do selective study. And if at all you go wrong, don't go wrong, please continue with what you've written so far. Because if you go wrong in one step, you're only going to lose mark there. This is called the OFR. What is OFR? What is OFR? What is OFR? What is OFR? OFR stands for own figure rule. Suppose if you have in a calculation, you have gone wrong in one step and you lose mark only for that step. The marker will recalculate all the balance steps based on your wrong figure, and you are going to get mark for your own figure. This is called the own figure rule, where entire marks is not for the final mark, it is step by step by step. Put things in headings, subheadings, paragraphs, put appendixes, give proper recommendation, take care of the narrative. So what are the exam tips that I have to tell you? Familiarize with the exam functionality, do the past exam library, practice exam, blank workspace, instructional videos, cover all topics. Don't think about any selective study. Don't cherry pick at all. One mark is one idea. It's not just about putting a bullet point. Bullet point is not sufficient. Put a heading and then describe, present that one idea. It's not about having too much, what is it, quantity. It is quality over the quantity. And if at all you go wrong in one place, remember you have got this OFR, you own figure rule, where the entire marks is not for the final answer. You are only going to lose mark for those steps where you have gone wrong. Subsequent steps shall be recalculated based on your figure. Use proper headings, use paragraphs, use proper appendices, working notes, present it, structure it properly, and finally, make a very proper recommendation advice. Make proper recommendation advice. See, before I conclude or before into anything, see, it's AFM is about the ability to present your knowledge. It's about to apply, demonstrate your knowledge, relevant knowledge, and be careful whenever dates come. Huh? Whenever you do the area of what is it, the futures, the options, the forex, and those areas, be careful with the dates. I know I'm repeating myself. Please be confident. Even if you go wrong in a step, the own figure rule applies. Whenever you go to the requirements, don't rush through the requirements. Understand the requirements properly. Put out the narratives as detailed as possible. We've seen that as far as the professional marks is concerned. Communication is okay, fine. Analysis was fine, but the candidates lacked in demonstrating skepticism, the commercial acumen. Focusing the checklist that I've shared across, use that. That will help you gain maximum professional mark. And professional mark, you have to think like, you are the manager working in the place. You are supposed to think, if I'm working in the working place, How would I present it to my CEO? How would I present it to my CFO? How would I present? Would I do it like this if I present it to the board? Or is this how I'm going to present it to my manager? Don't tell them what they know. Tell them what they don't know. Give them a pathway that will help them make the business successful. When you write an exam, you are the expert. You are providing guidance. You are helping out the CEO, CFO, the board. And today's social media, today's media is affecting a lot of students on how they present their exams. Whenever you write something, don't have this habit. See, understand that you're not chatting on Instagram. You are giving a professional solution. And when you give a professional solution, would you present something how you would chat on Instagram or Snapchat to your CEO, CFO, the board? No. So understand you are an expert. You're advising. Present your answers properly. You don't have no paper, no pen. Practice without paper and without pen. And finally, please note, when you know a topic too much, I know that will make you very happy. You'll be so excited. You will want to tell the examiner all that you know about it. Understand, they cannot award you more than the allotted mark. Never go over time. Don't show things that are irrelevant content. You will lose your professional marks. Stick on to the relevant, be precise, relevant to the scenario, connect your answer to the scenario. And there are students who keep coming and asking me, sir, is there a right time to do the mock? No. See, there is no right time to do the mock. There is no good time. Mocks are not, you see, it's to give you, it's not just the marks what you get there. It's not indicative. You pass mock does not mean that you will pass the exam. We've seen students who pass mock, they fail the exam. We've seen students who pass mock, they fail the exam. You an experience of the exam. It's done to give you an idea about what mistakes you make. And finally, the marker wants everybody to pass. They want, and if everybody has to pass, they want to give you marks. And if they have to give you the marks, you are supposed to give them some content. Give them the content so that they can give you a mark. No examiner wants the candidates to fail. They want content to come. So once there's a content, they'll give you the mark. The narrative part, the non-calculative part of the exam, spend time. Do not rush through it. Give a very balanced answer. Ensure that you have answered to all the requirements. Even if your calculation isn't 100% right, present and very, this will help you get, I'm repeating, if you don't get, you see, you have a feeling I've not got the calculations right, do not skip the narrative. Pick the narrative up. Be confident with the narrative. Present your narrative from your own figure rule. Marker will give you marks for your narrative, even if the numbers aren't right. You are going to get credit for those numbers. So what are the resources that, as you prepare, you shouldn't miss the report, the resources? See, through your my ACCA, through the ACCA website, you can get the examiner's report. You have this AFM mock and debrief for the September 2023 has been uploaded. You can go into it. Ensure to practice your professional skills. Huh? Or ACCA practice platform. ACCA practice platform. Go into the study hub. Ensure that you do the study hub properly. So one of the things that students needs to take care is about the study hub. How do you access the study hub? Now we have got the new study hub. You log into my ACCA, go into the qualification, select the ACCA study hub. How is it going to help you? Let us take you through a video to see how the Study Hub is going to assist you. Pushing through the video.
Let's take a closer look inside Study Hub. Take a closer look. Your ultimate study resource. Your ultimate study resource. It's a digital hub. Study Hub gives you online access to study materials from ACCA. It works like an ebook with added interactivity. It's a knowledge hub. Study chapters help to increase your understanding. A visual overview shows all the topics in each chapter, so it's easy to see how they link up. It's a revision hub. End of chapter quizzes. Put your knowledge to the test. The multiple choice questions are automatically marked so you can review your performance. Flashcards test your knowledge of key definitions. Check your answer against the definition on the reverse of the card. Practice questions help you prepare for your exams. You can instantly compare your answers to the suggested solution. It's an anywhere hub. Whenever and wherever you want to work. Study Hub is there on web and mobile. It's a success hub. 79% of students said Study Hub made them more confident. 90% said they would use Study Hub again. Use Study Hub to help boost your progression. Just go to your My ACCA account and click on the Study Hub link.
Okay. Now moving on to the question and answers session.
Sir, if you allow me, we are actually running short of time, so I will. Is it okay if I can speak the questions for you, because I believe many of them we have already been able to cover during the session. So I would like to pick 2-3 questions from here. Like, do you have any approach to reorganization and merger questions? I practice but don't know how to begin these questions. So if quickly, can you guide on this?
First thing is reading this. When they read the scenario very properly, the scenario itself gives how they are supposed to move on. There are cases where in one single question there is a demerger, there is an acquisition coming up. So those questions, multiple times practicing, going through those questions again and again, will ensure that as they read the scenario, they'll be able to pick up to understand how the question is supposed to be approached. Now, can I pick the next one?
Yes, sure. So, yes.
The next question is, should we always assume that tax losses are carried forward if the question is silent? Yeah, it is always recommended to ensure that it's always recommended to take the approach where one particular year's loss, carry forward the loss to the next year, adjust it against the subsequent year profit, and then calculate the tax. If the question is silent, that method is recommended. And one more question, should we always assume that tax allowable depreciation will never be added back since the same is required for maintenance? No. Please always add back tax allowable depreciation unless otherwise stated that the same is going to be required for the maintenance of the asset. So yes, offsetting of losses is fine, but maintenance of asset to be depreciation not being added back is not recommended. The next question, can we use formula on your spreadsheet or answers, or must be spelled out word by word? Yeah, you can use formulas. You know there are a lot of listed formulas such as for the NPV, the IRR, the MIRR. So once when you use those formulas, it's not necessary that you have to go in the detailed process, detail step by step. And wherever, for example, you are using a formula KE is equal to D by P0, please do mention K is equal to D by P0. And do mention what is D, what is P0. You put it across as if you are speaking to someone who doesn't have any idea about it. Mm, yeah, how to prepare for the exam approach, everything has been presented. Yes, Richa, I believe everything is
I think we
addressed to.
have, yes, we have covered this in detail. So
Mm,
the
mm,
students whosoever want to know that how they should best prepare for the exams, please you can watch the recording of this session again. And I'm just afraid we are quite close to the time, and I believe the content which we have covered in this webinar will help you a lot in understanding the concepts and understanding the mistakes that students generally commit while writing the answers. And I know that there was a bit of lag in the sound for you, but definitely the recording of the session is available. So you can just go to the same registration link and watch the recording of the session. Resources are available in the resource section. The PDF has now been uploaded there. So once you will re-log in to watch the recording, you should be able to download the PDF of these slides which we have presented today to you. Okay, the links are available there. Please do refer them for your exams. Best of luck, all the best for your exam preparation, all the best for your exams. With this we come to the close of the session. Thank you so much, Rashad sir, for being here with us, and thank you to the team for helping us from the back end, and thank you to all students for being today here live with us. With this, goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Wish you all the best for your upcoming exam.